It seems as though President Trump is really trying to capitalize on the divisions within the Democratic Party ahead of the 2020 elections, as he again attacked the Democrats and the American left for hating Jews and Israel. And this was on Tuesday. And this just after the House passed an anti-bigotry resolution last week that, despite overwhelming support, is still criticized for not going far enough. Additionally, these latest remarks follow similar rhetoric espoused by former campaign staffer Elizabeth Pipko on Fox and Friends. We'll hear with more on whether or not these allegations have any merit is former Israeli ambassador to the United States, Zalman Shoval, and Rabbi Ariel Konstantyn, founding rabbi at the Tel Aviv International Synagogue and chairman of Metzion, the Institute of Zionism and Jewish Heritage. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for coming in today.
Hi.
Pleasure. All right, so Ambassador, let's start with you. Actually, you know, while I don't necessarily hate all the attention that the Jewish diaspora is getting, the Jewish people in the United States make up a relatively very small voting bloc. Why do you think that this issue is getting so much attention?
Well, because I think certain elements in the Democratic Party have made it an issue as part of their overall left-wing issue against the establishment, against the money, and so on and so forth, with all sorts of anti-Semitic utterings, some worse, some not so bad. And although I still think that the majority of the Democratic Party is certainly not anti-Semitic and certainly pro-Israel, there is an element today, so-called revolutionary element, which sides with the Palestinians, among other things, and has some anti-Semitic utterings as well from members, new members of Congress. And although, as I say, they're still a minority, it's a dangerous trend for the Democratic Party and for Israel and for American Jews in general. So something should be done to stop it, not to make it a political issue between Republicans and Democrats. Sure. Everybody should be, you know, on board in that respect.
And so that's actually kind of my follow-up is, do you see any sort of similar trend amongst the Republican Party that maybe they need to address that they aren't because all the focus is on the Democrats?
I don't see the same look. There have always been anti-Semites in different parties. But I don't see this as a political trend in the Republican Party right now, although I don't know how some people would react if the Republicans were in the opposition. Mm-hmm. But right now, you see these elements, especially in the Democratic Party, and not only from the Muslim members of Congress, the new Muslim members of Congress. There are not so many, but also among others. There's a group of about 31 members of the House of Representatives who have voted for anti-Israel resolutions. So I think that's a worrisome fact.
Rabbi Konstantyn, your thoughts?
I would very much agree with Ambassador Shoval and add the following, that not only are we seeing a vocal minority within the Democratic Party, and still a minority, nonetheless vocal, we don't hear the majority really speaking out against and trying to root out that voice of anti-Semitism and bigotry.
Referring to the resolution last week.
Correct. The resolution was very watered down, was very generalized, anti-Semitism taken out of it, not pointing out the particular leaders who have spoken.
Well, I believe anti-Semitism was listed. It was just kind of in a paragraph with a lot of other targeted groups.
And the offenders as well were kind of shunned aside.
Yeah, Ilhan Omar was not named, that's true.
Right. When David Duke, for example, endorsed Trump disavowed that endorsement, didn't want anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. I think that we have to speak out in a very clear way. I mean, Chuck Schumer spoke against it. That's great. But you don't hear that voice loud enough. You don't hear enough of a voice saying, look, you know, freshman, congressman, very nice, we like your enthusiasm, but these are the rules in America. We don't engage with anti-Semitism, bigotry, racism in any which way. And if that's not stymied from the beginning, we face, God forbid, a growing trend. And I think that they have to speak up very clearly and loudly that policy, changes, perhaps things could be proposed, but the basic civil liberties and human rights and dignity for everyone, that goes across the board. And Israel as such has to remain nonpartisan.
Okay, so speaking of that, because right now we have several members of Israeli parties from the New Right, from Labor, from Blue and White, and from the Likud, all heading now at the end of the month to
Blue and
AIPAC.
White and point to me, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to point at you, but I didn't mean to suggest anything. But we have leaders of many different parties who are now getting ready to go to APAC and their major annual conference at the end of this year, at the end of this month, I'm sorry. Do you believe that they're going to address this topic head on? And if so, how should they be doing that?
I think they should address it. I think they should say, look, this concerns not just American Jews, it concerns the Jewish people all over. I think there should also be some Israeli self-criticism, frankly. Because if we are the state of the Jewish nation state, and we are, that means the Jewish nation all over, including Jews living abroad. So we must take a different attitude in religious matters here, right, in Israel. So in order to make the ties between Israeli Jews and American Jews and overseas Jews in general tighter and not more loose. But basically on anti-Semitism we should speak with a common voice, and we should make it very clear that supporting Israel is supporting America, is supporting America's way and values and designs in the world. This is not a contradiction, on the contrary, it's a complementation.
All right, well, thank you very much, both of you, for coming in and sharing your insights on this. I'd love to talk about this more, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Thank you again for coming in.
Thank you very much.